The following program does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of the staff, management, or ownership of this station.
The following pre-recorded program is brought to you by Vitruvian, a Texas-based registered investment advisor.
Now, let the uprising begin.
There are only two genders, and one of them is right here. It's the box that rocks. This is the Angela Box Show on AM 1070 and FM 103.3. The Answer.
Hello, hello, hello. Once again, all my fellow patriots and you filthy leftist stalkers out there. You're listening to the Angela Box Show. Me llamo Angela. Está aquí. Estoy aquí. How about that, Espanol, ladies and gentlemen? Lots to get to today. And I don't even know where to start, but I wanted to, I like on this show to kind of not just talk about politics, but also about what's, on my radar and good shows to watch and things like that. I just am finishing up a documentary about Gene Wilder on Netflix. And, my late mother would let us stay up at night on Saturday nights to watch Gilda Radner and the original Saturday Night Live cast. Yes, I'm dating myself, whatever. Figure it out. The old SNL, when Gilda Radner was on in that original cast, John Belushi, Bill Murray, Lorraine Newman, Dan Aykroyd. Just a fantastic original cast. Obviously now Saturday Night Live is unwatchable, unfunny, totally woke. Just, they need to put that horse down. But the old Saturday Night Live, my mother would let us stay up for. And as a child, I just loved Gilda Radner, just loved her. I thought she had such a sweetness and such an amazing talent. Well, of course, Gene Wilder was married to her. And this documentary about Gene Wilder was so, so good. And my mother also loved all the Mel Brooks and Gene Wilder with Young Frankenstein and things like that. Young Frankenstein's probably in my top 15 movies of all time. Anyway, I highly recommend it. But at the end of it this morning, I was finishing it up and I was on the pre-core and I was getting really emotional because Wilder had Alzheimer's, and it really kind of took me back to when my grandmother had dementia, Alzheimer's. She didn't have technically Alzheimer's, she had dementia. But I asked forgiveness from my grandmother because I could not deal with it. And I was talking to my sister before the show, and I was telling her about the documentary. She really needed to see it because he was just such a good man and such an amazing talent, but had such a really wonderful spirit about him. But I said, I had to ask forgiveness from Grandma because when I would go sit with her when she was in the nursing home, it broke my heart because she could not remember my grandfather. She could not remember the amazing love story that they had, and their love story was truly incredible. And I would just go into the bathroom at her nursing home room and just cry because I couldn't handle it. And I lived in LA at the time my grandmother was dying, and so my sister kind of had to step up and handle that. And I asked forgiveness because it was just so hard. But anyway, I highly, highly recommend that documentary. It was beautiful. So rest in peace, Gene Wilder. You were one of a kind. Okay, so every week on the show, I like to dedicate a sea turtle killing plastic straw. It is no surprise who it's going to this week. It's going to the increasingly skeletal-looking Jack Smith, the quote special counsel who was illegally appointed by Joe Biden, even though he wasn't an acting U.S. attorney. There was no any kind of a vote for him to be special counsel in the Congress. This man should not be special counsel whatsoever. Obviously, what they're doing to Trump is they're trying to throw him in jail before the election, which I guess we'd like to thank Jack Smith for preemptively giving Trump an even bigger bump in the polls, because every time they do this, every time they rear their heads and try and, play gotcha on Donald Trump, it just makes people realize, okay, what the hell does Donald Trump have on these people? Because they are doing too much. So basically, Jack Smith yesterday got another indictment from yet another completely compromised D.C. grand jury. Now, keep in mind, Washington, D.C. is the head of the snake of the swamp. And obviously he's going to they can indict a ham sandwich if they put it in front of them, if it has to do with Trump. So they're like, oh, look, Donald Trump, the felon, got another indictment. Now, what the Supreme Court did, and let me just lay this out here. The fact that Jack Smith tried to go around the Supreme Court decision, which basically gave Trump immunity from official actions as President of the United States, Jack Smith's entire case is ridiculous because the case essentially says that Donald Trump questioned the 2020 election, and he said that it was rigged, which it 100% was. And Jack Smith actually went back and looked at Trump's Twitter before Trump was banned on Twitter, because, of course, after January 6th, they had to put the pretense up that Trump was inciting an insurrection. Trump was telling people to go and storm the Capitol, which never happened. And so after they banned his Twitter, they were able to make this entire thing up that, oh, we had to ban his Twitter because he was inciting an insurrection. When hello, internet's forever. Screenshots don't lie. He never said that. He never wrote that, not even close. But they had to create this narrative to get the public all ginned up that we're going to go get these veterans and old ladies and pastors, people just walking into the Capitol building as the D.C. police are ushering them in and lifting the barricades and removing the velvet ropes. Hey, come on in, guys. No, that's not a setup at all. Anyway, so he went back to his Twitter, Jack Smith did, to pretend that somehow he is, you're not allowed to question what happened in 2020. Now, there's so much, you guys, with how we know this thing was rigged. Forget the fact that somebody, we still don't know who, told the 6 swing states, Arizona, Georgia, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, all of them at the same time at 10:30 Eastern. Oh, we're real tired. We're going to shut down counting tonight. Wait, what? Why would you shut down counting? That's never happened before. Oh, they shut down counting because Trump was ahead, big time, in all of those states. And they're like, ruh-roh, our cheating system is not going to cut it, so we're going to have to shut everything down in order to throw those ballots in at 1:30 in the morning. 98% of them went for Joe Biden, even though they sent everybody home. We're not counting, but yet everyone woke up the next day and suddenly Joe Biden's ahead. So they had to account for that. And no one has ever asked a question. I'm sure Trump he's got this in his back pocket. If you don't think Trump has something up his sleeve, you're smoking as much crack as allegedly Barry Soetoro, Barack Obama did in the back of a limo with Larry Sinclair. All right? If you don't think Trump's got something up his sleeve, think again. Somebody told them to shut down at 10:30 at night. Who was the person or people that told these swing states to shut down, and then who told the media to go along with it? All right? We still haven't gotten an answer to that. Now, when I come back, I'm going to go over this ridiculous indictment. It's stupid. It needs to be dismissed. It's election interference 101. And the fact that they're saying that Trump doesn't have the right to question an election when for literally 4 years, Queen Cankles, Satan's Muse, Hillary Clinton, says that Trump was working with Russia to steal the election. I can't with these people. We're going to pick this up when we get back. You're listening to the Angela Box Show. I'll be right back.
Far left, Democrats, socialists, and communists. It's Angela Box on AM 1070 and FM 1033. The Answer.
I mean, I'm sure it's just a coincidence that right after RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard, who completely dismantled Kamala Harris in the first debates, I'm sure it's just a coincidence that right after they endorsed Trump, Jack Smith just drops this indictment. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Smith is looking more and more skeletal by the day. Like, his body is basically rebelling against the evil that he is doing. And what he is doing is evil and wrong. And it's just going to make Trump more popular. They don't get it. They don't get it, man. So here's what Jack Smith is saying. Donald Trump questioned the 2020 election. Therefore, he needs to be charged with questioning the 2020 election. Keep in mind, They invented the Trump-Russia collusion hoax. Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, James Comey, Jim Clapper, John Brennan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They invented the Trump-Russia collusion hoax to say that Trump worked with Vladimir Putin to steal the 2016 election. Not one single Democrat, not one single media person, not one single uniparty member ever said, hey, let's open the books. Let's do some forensic audits on these elections. Let's see what happened in these elections. Let's see if, like in 2020, you can see overseas cyber going back and forth, changing votes in real time with the Voldemort machines, with overseas cyber going back and forth, with, again, them shutting down everything at 10:30 at night. Oh, we're all so sleepy now. We're going to sleep. Never happened in the history of America. They've never, ever done that. So not one single person in 2016 said that we need to open the books and do forensic audits. Not one single Democrat did. You know why? Because, ladies and gentlemen, Hillary Clinton, Satan's muse, she thought she had this thing wrapped up. She knew what the Voldemort machines were going to do. She knew that they were switching votes. Look, I've said this a million times on my shows, that if you have not seen the show Narcos Mexico, that season, in Narcos Mexico in about 1975, 80, whatever, they were switching votes in elections, and they were doing it on the computers. So these are the things that have been done since the 80s. It's been done for decades. So basically the uniparty people, the people who want to pay more money to have this done or whatever agreements the uniparty reaches with each other to kind of keep everybody in check. Like, all right, Bush, you had 8 years. All right, Obama, you've got 8 years. Clinton, you had 8 years. And they just go back and forth and back and forth. They're all in on it together. And when we now see that, former staff members from George W. Bush and Mitt Romney are all supporting Kamala Harris, who's a literal Marxist, that is the uniparty, ladies and gentlemen. And I dare say that probably George W. Bush and Mitt Romney are soon going to endorse Kamala Harris because they're going to say something like, oh, Donald Trump is an existential threat to democracy. Anyway, back to this stupid indictment. So essentially what Jack Smith is saying is that Donald Trump, because he questioned the 2020 election, they're trying to work around the Supreme Court immunity ruling, saying that Trump as president has a right to look into election interference or election fraud, which he absolutely does. And again, where were the people screaming about Hillary Clinton, crying that Trump was a Russian agent for 4 years? I mean, nothing they're doing makes any sense whatsoever. All this is doing is confirming how corrupt and tyrannical that these people are. It confirms that these people cannot win a fair election. Now, obviously this thing should be dismissed, but it's not going to be dismissed. And coming up in about 2, 3, 4 weeks, less than a month actually, I think September 18th is the day, Judge Mershon, in this ridiculous hush money case, this E. Jean Carroll case, I think. I can't even keep them straight. I mean, look, he's beaten all of them, but they're going to do whatever possibly. They are so scared of whatever Donald Trump has in store for them. They are doing the most. So Juan Merchant is supposed to sentence him September 18th. And they are going to try and throw Trump in jail. And if they do, I think what they want to have happen is for MAGA to rise up and MAGA to storm the Capitol or MAGA to storm the White House or MAGA to storm the Supreme Court or whatever. MAGA doesn't do that, all right? We don't riot. We don't loot. We don't act like lunatics. New York Times crowing about how the Justice Department is throwing someone in jail for 4 years for walking into the Capitol building on January 6th while they allow rioters and looters and Antifa and BM and all those people off scot-free. Not only that, they're letting off all the rioters, the college campus rioters. Those people aren't going to face any charges, but they're crowing about throwing some veteran in jail for 4 years for walking into the Capitol building. I mean, these people are pure evil at this point. So we know that they're going to try and throw Trump in jail. And even though they're narrowing these allegations, it's still the same crap. And this is election interference 101. So we've got Joe Biden, who's asleep at the wheel. He's literally off in Rehoboth Beach, on the beach, passed out, as he is normally. Who's running the country? Joe Biden. Does anyone in the media have any questions about that? I mean, I know they're not going to ask the juggernaut that is Kamala Harris, like, who's running the country? You're off campaigning and not doing interviews and, running these ridiculous ads now where she's talking about how she's going to be tough on the border and using video of Trump's border wall. Oh, the irony. Even though she was for this, I don't want to get off too much of a tangent because we are going to talk about that. But who is running the damn country here? Who? No one seems to have any questions about that. So this election interference that the media is doing, that Jack Smith is doing, that everyone is doing without asking real questions like, okay, why is Trump saying that the 2020 election was stolen? We've gone over this a million times. All the anomalies. And again, as President of the United States, he has a duty to look into those anomalies. There's nothing new. He's not going to be saying anything new, but they're going to try and throw him in jail. And if they do that, they expect MAGA to rise up and go crazy. And MAGA's not going to do that. We don't do that because most people in MAGA have jobs. All right. And I said to my fiance last week during the DNC, I was like, man, what is up with the Democrats, like, having all their speakers on, their main speakers on at 11 o'clock at night? It's like, well, they don't have jobs to get up for in the morning. So there you go. They can keep them on. I think they put all their speakers on at 11 o'clock because they basically knew that most people would be tuned out by then. And they wanted to be able to wake up in the morning and just kind of package it how they wanted to package it. They didn't want people to see the excrement showed that the DNC truly was. They just wanted to be able to gaslight you into pretending that it was like, it was Obama 2.0. So look, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And they're kind of like starting to signal that they know that Kamala Harris is not going to be able to do this because she's finally agreed to the debate with Trump, even though she tried to back out of it and saying, oh, we want the rules changed. I mean, this woman is such a moron. She's like, she pretends that she's this, I was a prosecutor and I did this and I did that. Now listen, I'm not saying she's a complete idiot, but something is going on with her. And I mentioned this last week in the show that she's either a drunk or a moron. Because when you look at some of the word salad-y press conferences she's given, like, they're just bonkers city. So she wanted all these rules changed. She only wants the ABC interview, she only wanted the ABC debate. She wants a friendly media. She wanted to have cheat sheets. She wanted to have notes. And she wanted to be seated. And Trump's like, no. We're going to go back to the rules that we did with Joe Biden. Now, ironically, the rules that they initially did with Joe Biden, they thought was going to benefit Biden, but actually benefited Trump because Trump was kind of put in check a little bit. Trump, with his mic muted, and he was only able to speak during his time, it highlighted just how incompetent Joe Biden was and how cooked Joe Biden was. And what it's going to highlight with Kamala Harris is that she does not have a leg to stand on. Her record is terrible. The things she supports are terrible. And her going around now saying that she all of a sudden wants a border wall. And she wants to, she's saying that, I want to secure the border. Why didn't you do it, lady? They're basically running on the fact that everything sucks right now, but that somehow it's Trump's fault. Even though the last 12 of the 16 years Democrats have run everything. Barack Obama was very slick and very good at hiding his Marxism. Make no mistake, he's a Marxist. All right, his background is 100% Marxist. Manchurian candidate, whatever you want to say about Obama. But at least Obama could string a few sentences together, off the cuff. Joe Biden, in his current state, clearly cannot. Kamala Harris obviously cannot do that. So she wanted the rules changed to where the mics are unmuted. So she wanted to, get Trump to, run his mouth when she's talking and look like an a-hole or whatever. And Trump's like, no, we want to do the same rules that they were with Biden. If you don't like that, we can have a rediscussion about it. And of course, she's, claiming that Trump's scared to debate her, but she won't agree to any other debate. She just wants the ABC debate. And finally, this week, she's going to be sitting down. By the time the show airs, she and Tim Walz will have sat down for their first interview with CNN's Dana Bash, Droopy Dog, as I call her. Dana Bash, I mean, this woman's such a joke. She's just such a regime puppet. And so they're going to sit down with completely friendly media. They're not going to get any hard questions. In fact, the New York Times has, basically yesterday in their morning bulletin, gave Kamala Harris a total cheat sheet of, Madam Vice President, here are some of the questions we have for you. So basically saying, here's some of the things that you should expect to be asked. And you should probably be ready for, Madam Vice President. So she's not even going to sit down alone. She's going to sit down with Tim Walz and expect the most softball of softball interviews with Dana Bash. We know what they're going to say. Dana Bash is going to say things like, Madam Vice President, they called you the border czar. Were you really the border czar? And Kamala Harris is going to be like, no, Dana, I was not the border czar. In fact, Donald Trump stopped the border bill that was a bipartisan border bill. It's so obscene and ridiculous what they're going to say about that border bill. That border bill that would have allowed 5,000 people to come in every single day and allowed them a path for citizenship before anything would have been stopped whatsoever. It's a joke. We're going to talk about the questions that the New York Times actually gave to Kamala Harris when we come back, because they are hilarious. It's such a joke, this media. All right, listen to the Angela Box Show. We'll be right back.
You've tuned into the right place for conservatism. It's the box that rocks. This is the Angela Box Show on AM 1070 and FM 1033. The Answer.
All right, before I get to the New York Times cheat sheet for Kamala Harris, the election interference stuff that's going on cannot be understated. Merrick Garland and his henchman, Lisa Monaco, one of the key Russia collusion hoaxers, one of the women who was involved in creating the Russia collusion hoax, who's like the number 2 or number 3 at the Department of Justice, has basically cited this growing number of January 6th caseload cases. So again, they're still going and finding people who had the temerity to be at the Stop the Steal rally on January 6, 2021, and who may or may not have been ushered into the Capitol building. They're basically warning Americans, don't you dare question the 2024 election, because we're going to see that as election interference. So we as the regime, as the uniparty, we can question anything we want. We can say that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy and Russia helped Donald Trump win in 2016. That's fine. But Americans asking real questions, having sworn affidavits, thousands and thousands of sworn affidavits talking about everything they saw in 2020, not to mention the Voldemort machines, not to mention the Voldemort software. Y'all, I say the Voldemort machines and the Voldemort software because I don't want to get sued for $1 billion, all right? But you know who I'm talking about. The same company that made Hillary Clinton think she had it in the bag. Because when these software engineers looked into these machines, and when they were able to actually get a hold of these Voldemort machines, they were like, that's curious, because there's an algorithm right here that switches the vote 6% from one candidate to another. That's curious. So again, the Uniparty has had their system in place for quite some time. There's a reason the Uniparty is all hands on deck trying to stop Trump. And there's a reason that we've got 2 anti-establishment Democrats like Tulsi Gabbard and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. who are supporting Donald Trump, which if you had said even 6 months ago, would anyone ever expect a member of the Kennedy family, these big Democrat families, or Tulsi Gabbard, who was beloved by Democrats, Would anyone ever expect these people to be supporting Trump? They'd be like, they're smoking crack. They're smoking as much crack as allegedly Barack Obama did in the back of a limo with Larry Sinclair. But yet it's happening because these people understand the uniparty. These people understand the swamp, the deep state. I mean, look at celebrities like Roseanne Barr or Russell Brand. These people used to be leftists, and they were leftists. These weren't just, milquetoast Democrats. No, they were of the left. Same with people like David Horowitz, who years ago was a red diaper baby and was one of the members of the New Left, and basically helped protest and riot at the 1968 Democrat Convention, was big time with the Black Panthers. He had second thoughts in the 80s, and of course has become much more, he's become on the right. But these people that understand the Democrat Party understand the uniparty as well. So if you think that they're not going to do everything they can to stop Trump, even though we've got to make it too big to rig, and Kamala Harris, I don't think, there's a part of me that really doesn't think that she's going to be the eventual person who stands in November. Now, it would be quite a feat for the uniparty, for the Democrats to swap her out. But here's how I think it could happen, because we've got Jamie Raskin. This was about a year ago, but it's been coming up more and more, saying that basically they're not going to certify the election if Trump wins. They're going to say he cheated. They're going to say that, there was a cyber outage and the results can't be. All the things they're doing to set this up, if you've noticed, there's more and more cyber outages and things. Oh, AT&T had another outage, or oh, this 911 system went down. They're setting the stage for something. All right. If they can't get the bird flu or monkeypox, or trying to bring back COVID, we're going to talk about that in the last segment, they're going to try and throw Trump into jail, or they're going to not certify this election. But barring all of that, if it gets to the point where, Trump's internal polls, J.D. Vance and Trump have both said that our internals look quite good, and Kamala Harris's people are like, listen, even though the media is rah-rah-rahing her and not forcing her to sit down for interviews or do press conferences or do anything off the cuff, and they're, carrying all the water for her and covering up her record, covering up that she's a literal Marxist. And now when she's coming out with, she's not smart, guys. The woman is not smart. She's like, oh, my economic system. We want price controls. We want make corporations, quote, pay their fair share. These morons don't understand that corporations do not pay taxes. Okay? She wants to raise the corporate tax rate to 28%. She wants to raise the capital gains tax to 44%, highest in the world. Not realizing that, number one, corporations don't pay taxes. Number two, if you're punishing investors, they're not going to invest in the stock market. They're going to put their money somewhere else. All right? Corporations just pass on those taxes to the consumer. These people are dumb. They're very, very dumb. And as I like to say, dumb and arrogant is a dangerous combination. Anyway, I think Kamala Harris's people are sounding the alarm, saying, listen, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We still have a lot of work to do. We don't pay attention to these polls that they're putting out, these sweetheart rosy polls that show Kamala Harris beating Trump or neck and neck with Trump, because in 2020, they wanted you to believe that Joe Biden was ahead of Trump at this time. And he was ahead, 3-4 points. So when the election did happen, and the alarm started to sound at about 10:30 at night Eastern time, when in these 5 swing states, Trump was up 100,000 in Georgia, 70,000 in Pennsylvania. I'm spitballing here. This is what I'm remembering. 40,000 in Michigan, 20,000 in Nevada, whatever. All the swing states that were like, they thought they had it in the bag. And they had their suppression polls and their push polls to make people think, okay, Joe Biden is, he can beat Trump here. And when that wasn't happening, that's when they shut everything down. But right now they don't have that. Kamala Harris is not beating Trump in a two-way race now that Kennedy has endorsed Trump. And now Cornel West, Jill Stein, they're staying on the ballot. And Cornel West, who's a radical, is just as radical as Kamala Harris is, he actually came out a couple of days ago and he said, yeah, Kamala Harris basically said that she'd pay off all my debt and offer me a position in her cabinet if I would drop out and endorse her. And he's like, I'm not doing it. So kudos to Cornel West for sticking to his guns, and kudos for Jill Stein for being like, I'm not dropping out. I'm not dropping out. Democrats should have a choice. You basically rigged the Democrat primary. Oh, the party of democracy. Rigging the Democrat primary, making sure that Kennedy couldn't run, making sure that they closed off any avenue for any other challenger to the decrepit criminal sack of potatoes head the Biden crime family. Make sure nobody else could challenge Joe Biden. And then what happened? You're stuck with Joe Biden, who can't string two sentences together. And then you're stuck with this literal and political whore, Senator Kneepads, who's even worse. I mean, she's not, listen, let's keep it 100. She's not as bad as Joe Biden. She's at least, cogent, and she knows what day it is. She's not just, passed out on a beach somewhere. But I think this is a route I could see the Democrats taking to try and get rid of her at the last minute and put in a Michelle Obama, put in a Hillary Clinton, because, last week at the DNC, even though I get why the Democrats think that Michelle Obama would be their dream candidate. They think she doesn't have the baggage that Biden does. I mean, the Biden administration is toxic at this point, like really, truly toxic. And the way that Kamala Harris is trying to run with and against her administration is really something to behold. She gets up there and she's talking about how the price, people can't afford a home, and gas prices are through the roof, and electricity prices are through the roof, and the border's wide open. It's like, lady, you've been in the administration for the last 3.5 years. This is your crap pile, for lack of a better word, okay? You have created this. Now sit in it. So I understand why they think Michelle Obama might be much more palatable, because they want to go back to the Obama years of hope and change. But listen, Michelle Obama is not Susie Sunshine. She is an angry woman. She has a massive chip on her shoulder. The woman is a multimillionaire, and she still walks around saying that, Donald Trump doesn't like me and Barack because we're black. I mean, just absolute smears on Donald Trump, on MAGA, on Republicans, on conservatives, whatever you want to say. Listen, let me stipulate for the record, if you watch the Democrat convention versus the Republican, there's no comparison. The Republicans really are a big tent, all right? We'll allow people who are pro-choice. We will allow, people that don't, aren't with us completely on certain issues. Democrats are like, no, if you're pro-life, if you believe in traditional marriage, off with your head. Republicans aren't like that. We want everybody to succeed regardless of skin color, national identity, gender, whatever. We want everyone to prosper. When everyone prospers, that makes a better country. When you have a better country, you have a safer, more stable, more secure country. Democrats want the opposite. They want people woke, fat, lazy, confused and compliant. Stupid, lazy, confused and compliant. That's what they want. All right, in the last segment, we'll get to whatever I didn't get to. Of course, giving me the wrap it up box. So we'll be right back. You're listening to the Angela Box Show. Be right back.
They put a parking lot on a piece of land where the super...
It's the box that rocks with Angela Box on AM 1070 and FM 1033. The Answer.
By the way, I always forget to do this. If you want to find out how to follow me and everything, I have a website, angelasoapbox.com. Has everything on there. My Twitter and Instagram are at The Box That Rocks. My Facebook is Angela Box Public. My Truth Social is at Angela Box. I've got a BitChute Rumble, and I started. My TikTok got suspended like 3 weeks ago, so I had to restart that. That's the Angela Box Show. My YouTube is, they've kicked me off YouTube like 5 times, but I do have one YouTube that was still not deplatformed. It is the Angela Box Show. I changed the name of that. So just go look for that, and you can find out what I'm doing there. I try and post videos a few times a week. I'm on with Isaiah Carey. There's all kinds of stuff there. So go check that out. When in doubt, go to angelasoapbox.com. Okay. So here's how I think that they could shoehorn in Hillary Clinton or Michelle Obama. I think it would more likely be Michelle Obama, even though, again, she's, personification of angry black lady, okay? She's not she's not Susie Sunshine, all right? This isn't 2008, all right? We see how her and her husband have basically grifted and become multi-millionaires, and they want to pretend like, they're just so oppressed. They're so oppressed, and Donald Trump doesn't like them because they're black. I mean, it's just really just gross smears. Anyway, here's how I think it could happen. Biden is clearly not running the country. So when they start doing more internal polling, and maybe after the first debate happens, and if Kamala Harris does not do well, although I don't think people need to hang their hats on that. I think that she's going to do fine, all right? For all of her faults, she was a prosecutor. She was the attorney general. I think she can keep it together long enough to do a debate. However, her record is terrible. The Biden-Harris record is not good. So she's going to try and remove herself from that and just talk about her time as attorney general, which, she's got plenty of hashtag problematic things she did as attorney general, like throwing a bunch of black men into jail for smoking weed, keeping them in jail longer than they should have to get free labor out of them. Like, there's definitely things she's done that are not good. But she's going to try and, be that Kamala Harris, the prosecutor, the tough on crime lady. But she's not going to be able to completely remove herself from the Biden-Harris toxicity. So don't expect her to fall on her face. And I'm sure Trump does not expect her to fall on her face. Let's just say she's not going to fall on her face. Depending on how she does in the debate, I think that's going to determine what Barack and team, the DNC, want to do here. So let's just say she does fall on her face, which, again, don't count on it. If she does fall on her face and her internals don't look good, because, again, Trump and Vance are saying that our internals look pretty good. They're going to say, well, Joe Biden, we're going to have to 25th Amendment him, or we're going to tell him, okay, resign, get your pardon your whole Biden crime family, do it, because that he's going to pardon his entire family. I don't know if he can preemptively pardon Hunter and Jill for the role in the Biden crime family, considering that there's been no charges yet for those things. I don't know if he could preemptively pardon. I don't think he can do that, but he could certainly pardon his son for what he's been charged with already, with these rinky-dink gun charges or whatever. But look, again, Trump and team are being smart and not showing their hands on what they want to do with the Bidens down the line. But let's just say, pardon Hunter Biden, pardon whoever you want to pardon, fine, go. Kamala Harris, you get to be acting president. And then we're going to put in Michelle Obama. And we're not going to have Tim Walz there, because Tim Walz is a pathological liar. And he lies about important things, not important things. He's very similar to Joe Biden, frankly. I mean, Biden lies about what color his socks are for no reason at all. Just makes a lie up just because. Like, I was with Nelson Mandela in South Africa. I walked in Selma. It's like, dude, no, you didn't. No, you weren't first in your class. No, you didn't get a full scholarship to law school. Like, no, you didn't. Stop it. But yet they lie. Anyway, Tim Walz is the same way, just making up things for no reason. So that's how I could see conceivably that after the debate, if the internals aren't good, that somehow this is how they'll do it. Now, again, the party of democracy is going to somehow justify it. And the media will get on board and say, oh, this is great, and, hope and change is back. But, again, I don't think they've counted on the fact that the American people have woken up to an extent that I don't think they understand quite yet. And, again, Michelle Obama is not, she's not Susie Sunshine. Anyway, let me get to some other stuff because we've only got a few minutes here. So this week was the third anniversary of the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal, one of the most shameful episodes in American history, if not the most shameful episode in American military history. where Joe Biden had no plan. He withdrew our troops before things were secured. He left $83 billion worth of our equipment, our military equipment, including tanks and guns and bullets, et cetera, and left people in Afghanistan who had helped us, left them high and dry. They're probably been thrown off roofs, beheaded. They're dead. All right. It was an absolute disaster. And then 13 American soldiers were killed because of a suicide bomber. Not only that, but there were many, many more that had arms blown off, legs blown off. One person had an arm and a leg blown off. And Joe Biden just goes on with his life. Kamala Harris just goes on with her life. They put up these tweets that are, oh, today we remember the third. Today it's your fault, you disgusting people. So Trump was invited by the families of the 13 members who died in Afghanistan to lay wreaths at Arlington National Cemetery. They didn't want Kamala Harris there. They didn't want Joe Biden there. Joe Biden was on the beach. Kamala Harris was, doing whatever Kamala Harris was doing, hiding from the press, which again, it's been 40 days now. Still no interview. She's doing a pre-taped sit-down interview, not even all by herself. She's going to be with Tim Walz, with a friendly media outlet, CNN. Yeah, this woman can take on Trump. Sure, Jan. Anyway, the media went nuts that Trump was there. They're like, oh, this is so disrespectful to the families. Oh, wait a minute, the families asked him to come? Oh, so who's disrespecting? No, it's obviously Joe Biden and Kamala Harris that are the pieces of human excrement that the families did not want there because it's their fault. Never forget what Joe Biden did when those coffins came back from Afghanistan draped with the American flags. They're standing there with their stupid masks on, and Joe Biden's looking at his watch 3 or 4 times. The families saw that. The families know. And the families told on Joe Biden. They said, you know what Joe Biden did? Joe Biden sat there and talked about how his son, Beau, oh, I understand how you're feeling because my son, Beau, died in combat. Again, pulling it out of his butt, making it up. It never happened. Beau Biden did not die in combat, just like Tim Walz was not in combat. Beau Biden had a brain cancer. That's how Beau Biden died. Had nothing to do with being getting killed in battle. But we've got a situation now where I've only got 2 minutes left, so I'm going to try and shove all this in. Couple things. The election interference that Mark Zuckerberg has now admitted to in 2020. He was like, oh, you know what? Facebook throttled the Hunter Biden laptop story, and we all basically knew that it was real. We knew it was real. We just pretended it was not because the FBI told us it was Russian disinformation. Of course, the FBI knew that the Hunter Biden laptop was real as early as 2019. Of course, they knew it was real. It was obviously real. And then Mark Zuckerberg also admitted, sorry about lying about COVID. Sorry about lying about hydroxychloroquine. Sorry about lying about the origins of COVID and how ivermectin was working. Obviously, whoopsie. Now, guys, they're trying to bring COVID back. They're trying to get the COVID ban back together. They're like, well, monkeypox didn't work and the bird flu didn't work. So now they're like, schools are getting ready to go into lockdown mode again because there's all these COVID outbreak cases. Listen, if you are stupid enough to believe anything these people are telling you now, you want to be lied to. You want to be under their boot. You want to be a slave. You want to be a sheep because nothing these people are saying is true. Nothing these people are saying is right. This is all to get you scared in order to get the mail-in ballots, in order to pretend that somehow Kamala Harris is going to win this election. That's all what any of this has ever been about, is to stop Donald Trump. But guess what? MAGA will not be stopped. Trump will not be stopped. This is a God deal all around. So, ladies and gentlemen, hang on to your hats because it's going to be a bumpy next few months. All right, that's my time. You've been listening to the Angela Box Show. I'll see you next week. Until next time, everybody, keep kicking ass and taking names. Peace!